tell us your name, where you're from, and what connections you have to mental illness.
My name is Bertha Fonseca. I live in West Covina, and my connection with mental illness is personal. I have a nephew that is schizophrenic, and he's at Twin Towers. He's been there going on 5 years due to an arrest of, do you want to hear why?
Yes.
He was there, and he's been accused of killing his 2 uncles, my brothers. And we're still waiting. It's been 5 years. The court proceedings get postponed and postponed. He has his episodes. We can go visit him, and sometimes he doesn't want to see us, so he doesn't come out. We go to court, and he doesn't want to come out of his cell, so the judge orders him to come out. So physically, they have to remove him from his cell and bring him. He started at about the age of 12 years old that it was registered that he was, at the time, bipolar. Now he's been diagnosed as schizophrenic. And we have had some incidents there of suicide since he started. He's tried to commit suicide, I would say about 5 times, you know. He has, I don't know if you want to hear the other side of the coin, of them being in there, and they do get abused, you know, because I've seen it firsthand. And they are ignored. Yes, he was abused. He was beaten at one time, and he was taken to the hospital. We went to visit him, my sister-in-law. Nobody knew where he was. And, oh no, he came out and he was bruised. And he said, well, they beat me up. And we don't know what is real to him and what isn't. Because, you know, to him reality isn't reality like it is to us. But she right away called the watch commander. And the watch commander investigated. And yes, he had been taken to General Hospital for a beating. And that was done. He had choke marks. And so he was abused, you know, but that's, you know, that happens in all the prisons, and I've seen it. I've seen that, the abuse on inmates, and not just the mental, but you can imagine on the mental ones, because they cannot defend themselves. They cannot sign papers to get the medical attention that they need. I mean, they've got to sign, this is exaggerating, but 1,000 sheets. And they don't just sign one. They got to send it and then resend it and resend it, because I know, because I personally had to assist someone in that area to get medical attention. And my nephew, we can be visiting him, and he can be talking to us sort of normal, you know. And then all of a sudden he'll be going, I told you to shut up, you know, or don't talk until you're spoken to. So he's hearing voices, you know, and we see that. He's a cutter. He cuts himself. Anything he finds. So he's been under observation in a glass cell on and off through the 5 years that he's been at Twin Towers. And his case, we don't know how much longer it's going to go. You know, he has some, his moments are always bad. They're hardly ever good. We can be visiting him, he can start crying. When am I going to go home? Like a 5-year-old. Okay, is this going to be over now? And can I go home now if I tell him what they want to know? And he'll start crying. He goes from one extreme to another. He can be angry. He can be confused, oblivious to his environment. And like I said, that started at the age of 14. At the age of 14, he... it wasn't that noticeable. He, you know, there was just incidents of the way he would act or things that he would do. And he's an artist, but the things that he would draw, they were always black and white, all black on the walls and stuff like that. This is before he went into the prison system. And before he went into the prison system, he had many episodes. And I would consider him the type of person that got lost in the cracks of the system, because he was taken for help. 2 weeks before the incident, he was taken. And my brother at the time, thank God, when he was alive, him and his wife told him, my son needs help, this and this and this and this. They released him in 12 hours instead of putting him in a hospital, instead of putting him someplace where he needed help. And that's just one out of many incidents that the system, you know, is not helping. It's not helping. And he is one of millions of cases within the prison system. Because in the prison system, I have witnessed in my 20 years, children, and I say children because they're like 24 years old, but they're acting like 5 and under. There's one incident of one young man. He was just a little kid. And when his mother would visit him, he spent the whole time with his head on her shoulder, playing with her hair, and no conversation. And his eyes are drawn in black, and he just looked all drawn, like sucked up, you know, like he really didn't look good. And within his cell, he acted crazy. He'd bump against the wall, he'd flap his wings, jump off the bunk bed. I mean, these are things that happen, and his inmate would try to bring it to the attention of the officers and stuff. This young man needs help. He would try and help him to teach him how to take care of himself so he wouldn't get abused, because he was just starting his sentence, a life sentence. And this same child, his mother would put money on his books because, you know, she loved him. I met the mother. I know them. I spoke to them. We tried to give her advice that he needed to be in a hospital and not in general population. Because when they're in general population, if they get put in with someone that is a criminal mind, they will abuse that child. They will abuse them in every way that they can get away with. And that's his inmate. That's his cellie. Now we're talking about the guards, you know. Abusing him verbally, psychologically, use them as a joke, ridicule them. And, I mean, there's just so much that is, what's the word, encumbers what goes on in the prison system. And this young man, another thing, his mother would put money on his books, $100. He would go and buy candies for boxes and boxes of candy, and that's all he would eat. I mean, if he was in a hospital, he would have to have his 3 meals, good ones. He would have his medication. He would have everything. But yet they left him in the general population. He's one of many, you know. And I have other incidents, but he's, you know, one of a lot. And it's so sad. Going back to my nephew, you know, we're still waiting. We don't even know if he did it or didn't do it, but he's there and he needs help, and what else can we, you know, what else can we do? We're just, his court proceedings get postponed and postponed, and another thing too is because they don't get help, some of these people, my nephew gets the help that he needs because we see to it. We make phone calls. We check with a watch commander. They know there that he's not alone. They know there that if we see something out of place when we visit him, guess what? They're going to get a phone call. And we have learned to work with the system, with the people that are there. You know, no names, no people. Because sometimes, as they say, it's who you know sometimes. And so my sister-in-law knows the chaplain there, she knows the watch commander, she knows the guards, and they know her because she's there 2 days a week, every week. And I go in there also. I go there every other week or once a month, or if she's sick, I'll go. But he's never without a visit, or his sister will go. He has support from his family, which that's something that a lot of other inmates don't. There's one inmate that I'm going to share because of what we're talking about. This man, he's criminally insane. He is in general population. Right now he was just put in the hole, but he killed his wife. He killed his wife, he stabbed her, and then he stabbed himself, killed himself, or tried to kill himself 15 times, and he survived. So now he's in prison. He's a danger to himself, a danger to others, They've tried putting in other cellies in his room, and they don't survive because either he tries to choke them to death or he beats them to death. So he's by himself. But why is he there in general population? Why isn't he in a hospital where he could get the medical attention that he needs? Because obviously there's something wrong with his brain. And now, right now, because finally he's written a letter to the system, to the prison there, that he was going to hurt himself or hurt someone else. And they had to put him in the home. They were forced to because this letter was written. But this man has been in general population, you know, danger to himself and a danger to others. I mean, there's always, how should I say, circumstances, you know, and I understand that it's hard for the guards and the people that work in the system, but they need to be educated in this field. Because if you're not educated in this field, they do not understand, they do not have the compassion, they do not have the heart for these men, and they do not understand the symptoms or the psychological end of it. And so they are uneducated in that field. And it's not, you know, it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the inmates. And yes, the inmates are there, they committed a crime, they're paying, you know, for their crime, but why should they be made to pay, you know, some more? They're already paying for it. They're there to be rehabilitated, and that is what the system is supposedly called. You know, it's what do they call it? What's the word? I'll tell you. It's a facility. Oh, darn it. Oh, here it is. It's a correctional facility of rehabilitation. That is what the CDCR is called. Where's the rehabilitation? If they're being abused, physically, verbally, psychologically, you know. And a lot of these men, speaking in general, a lot of these men, they go in there young, strong young men, you know, handsome, healthy, and due to the abuse that they get or the neglect that they get, they eventually become mentally ill. Because I've seen it. I've seen it in young men that become, and they end up in the mental institute, in a mental hospital because of the abuse and stuff. And I'm not saying it's you know, it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what's happening, you know. And
so do you believe that the prison system can cause mental illness?
Yes, I've seen it. Yes, without a doubt. Because some of these guards, and I know nice guards, okay? I'm not throwing them all in the same hat. I know that they literally wear them down mentally, psychologically, by the way they treat them or what they say to them, or tease them or mock them or use them as in a like a game, you know. They allow them to beat each other. They allow them to, and to them it's a sport, like a sport. Yeah. There, yes, and some of these, like I said, they go in there young and other, but from all the aggravation and everything, some of them cannot handle it. It's bad enough that they're handling that they're in prison, have a life sentence, and maybe nobody's going to visit them, or they only have their mom. Some of them, they only have one person to visit them, which the majority are women, sad to say. And you know what? They lose that one person, and what do they have left? Nothing, you know. And I'm not excusing their crime. I'm not excusing, you know, why they're there, and any of that. But everything should have, the crime should suit the punishment, you know. But some of them think that they should be punished some more when they're already doing life. They're never going to get out. So some of these men say, well, what do I have to lose? You know, I mean, you know how they say this cliche? They said, "What can you give me? What are you gonna do? Put me in jail? You know, put me in prison? I'm already here. Whatever I do." And but speaking of the mentally ill, and as an advocate for them, really, they cannot fill out papers. They cannot take care of themselves. They cannot function normally in society. They're being abused in every way, made mockery of, ridiculed. And when, let's say they do go, like, for some help, even the guys that are sort of normal, they've been giving the runaround. The system drags their feet. You know, like, we get a stomach ache. And what do? We go to the store, we buy Alka-Seltzer, we take it, and we feel better. Isn't that right? But if they get a stomach ache, guess what? They've got to wallow in it, roll in it, and wait until they feel like giving them something. And I know, first experience, I've seen it. I've seen it in inmates, because I visit, other inmates besides the person that I have in there. And that is my ministry. Do you guys have any other questions? Anything else? I mean, I have plenty of more information, but I don't know. I have other stories.
How has this changed the relationship with the family members? What has happened?
That's a very good question. At the time when it happened, it caused division, caused anger, because we were on both sides. We lost our brothers, myself, and then my nephew lost his dad and his uncle. His brother and sister lost their dad, and one of his brothers still doesn't speak to him, doesn't visit him, doesn't want to. Now he kind of doesn't mind hearing about what's going on, but if he got a letter from him, it would be like, and he would answer it or read it or nothing. And it's very hard on the family, the division. My sister, why did he do that? She was angry, she had this anger. For myself, I had, and it's a sensitive subject, I had, not anger, I just had, what could we have done to change this? What could we have done for this not to happen? If he is the one that did it, we would really like to know, without a doubt, whether he did it or didn't do it. If he did it, we'll handle it, and we'll be there for him. If he didn't do it, then let's fight the system and get him out. Yes, it's caused division, it's caused anger. Some still don't understand, and they don't visit him. His sisters have come around, his brother hasn't. He doesn't even understand what's going on. He doesn't. He just thinks that, whatever is going to clear up and then he's going to go home. But he's not if he did it. They wanted to give him the death penalty at the beginning. I don't think that you can imagine the pain. I mean, I'm just his aunt, his mother, the emotional drain on it when we go to court, because I do assist her in court, because I've been there and I had to do it by myself, and I don't want to see her go through this by herself. But it's still on the table, the death penalty, but because we are the victims at the same time, they asked us what we wanted for him, and we requested that he be put in a hospital because he needs help. I mean, all these incidents, these men that are sick, they're in general population. My nephew's in prison. Why would they put him in general population? I mean, they need to be in a hospital. They need medication, And a lot of them, the families abandon them because of the division in the family, of the anger. The man that I told you that he killed his wife and stabbed himself, nobody visits him. It's his brother once in a while. His daughters don't want to know nothing about it. And I can understand that. I can understand it. But he's sick. He is very, very sick.
So what's preventing him from being transferred to a hospital, if that's what
He
you guys
got,
propose?
my nephew,
Yeah.
Ronald, he was transferred. His lawyer, thank God, she's pretty good, very good. She got him to go there 2 years ago to Patton, and it's a good hospital as far as what I've seen, because I have been there before visiting, and he was there and he did very well. His spirit went up. He wasn't asking when was he going to go home. He was at least semi-normal, and he had another roommate. He ate decent food, and he was treated better. And as soon as he was looking like he was making sense, because we would visit him every week, every Sunday, and he, as soon as that happened, they considered them feasible to go back, that he's ready to go back now. So they sent him back, and now he's been at Twin Towers now for 2 years again. 2 years, yeah. So altogether, it's going on 4.5 years. Yeah, they just won't send him. They basically, I think, my opinion is that they want to see if he's really sick, if he's not, acting to get away with a crime. He's not acting. He's been sick since he was a child. The very first time he tried to commit suicide, and we had kind of ignored that, but with all that has happened, we've had to literally dig up situations, incidences in our families to prove that this is hereditary and to prove that he is mentally ill. He tried to commit suicide when he was about 9 years old. He hung himself in the garage. And when his brother found him, he said, "I was just playing." I don't think so. Yeah, he was trying to hang himself. And through that, other incidences that have happened through the years, And then finally, at the age of 14, he was diagnosed with bipolar. But when a child is diagnosed, they can be diagnosed one thing at the age of 5, 7, 10, whatever. And then as the years go by, it changes because they change. Their aggressiveness or their aloofness, or whatever their personality and character changes, so their diagnosis changes. And I speak this from a personal point of view, because I worked in the mental hospital for some years with children and adults. And yeah, it can change their diagnosis. But yes, he's been, and he through those years, he did make choices that you could see that there was something wrong. Yeah, a visible symptoms of his disorders.
After being transferred back into the prison system, did he kind of recede back into his old
Yes.
disorderly state?
Yes, he went right back into it. He tried to commit suicide, he cut himself, and there he is. They haven't moved him again. I mean, I don't understand why they can't see the difference. He just, kind of like went back into his shell and started cutting himself, and he went back on glass supervision. Yeah, they take away his mattress. He sleeps on the floor. I mean, it's inhumane. It's inhumane, but they're trying to protect him. So, and they keep him in these, I say, sumo wrestling outfits. It's all just one gown. That's all they wear. They have nothing. They don't have no underwear, no socks, no shoes, nothing.
Do you guys have any other questions?
So, what kind of resources were available to him at the hospital that helped him get better? What was...
At Patton?
Yes.
I would say the environment, having other people to talk to, a Sally, You know, I'm not sure if he was in a dorm setting or in a room with two, but he did have others around him. His medication was given to him regularly. I don't know how they do it here. There was a time where he didn't want to take it, so they had to order it given injection. My throat, sorry. He was able to have snacks. He would get 3 good meals, not like bologna sandwiches every day, because that's what they get in prison. All prisons, if I'm not mistaken, they get bologna sandwiches every day. Now they've changed it to either peanut butter or tuna, so at least they give them a choice. But at one time, all they got was bologna sandwiches. This was maybe about 10 years ago, and it's been changed now due to things like this. You know, people speaking out, but he, yeah, I truly believe it was the environment, you know, and he was just free to, he had a little more freedom, you know, and he wore normal clothes, he had his medication the way he was supposed to. It just, the environment helped. I would believe so. He was happy there. He was happy. Over here, he's isolated 24/7. He has no one to talk to. And who knows how they treat him? We don't know. We pray every day that he's being treated decently, at least. And he doesn't come out for groups. He doesn't come out to watch TV. He's very isolated. He isolates himself when he does have the opportunity to come out. Because we do ask him, you know, did you come out to, you know, did you go to your group therapy? No, I didn't feel like it. What did you eat? Well, I don't remember if I ate or not. You know, he just, he was 2 different people when he was at Patton and where he's at now. See, so I don't know. You know, we pray that the system can be changed to make a difference in the lives of these men. I mean, they're going to be in there forever. So, anything else, ladies and gentlemen?
I think one last question, unless you guys have another one. You said that you took him to a doctor 2 weeks before the incident happened, but the doctor...
His parents took him. Yeah,
his parents took him.
Yeah, they took him to a hospital.
So why do you think he was dismissed 12 hours later? Or why do you think he didn't receive the treatment that he needed?
I don't really have the answer for you on that. From my point of view and my perspective of what I've seen is they didn't want to bother with him. That's my honest opinion. You know, that's the one that could really say what she feels is his mother. But they insisted. They told him, you know, my son is sick. Do not release him. They released him. And that happened several times through the years. Oh, that was not the first or the last time. But if they had kept him, if he committed the crime, maybe that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened because he would have been in a hospital. See? So, who do you blame there if he did commit it? Do you blame the system or do you blame him? I mean, that's a very fine line. It really is. Because if he had been given what he needed at that time, he would have been out. He would have been in a hospital getting the treatment that he needs, you know. And through the years, every time they sometimes would have to call for the pet team to come in. That's a team in the police department. It's a medical team. They come and pick them up, and they, you know, assist them into taking them to a hospital. So they were called several times to pick him up. They're at their house. My brother would call because he couldn't handle it. So, but it is hereditary. I don't know if you gentlemen and ladies are familiar with that or realize it, because his father was schizophrenic. But he had treatment. He went to the doctor. He took his medication. He's the one that took care of him.
Was Ronald aware of his schizophrenia or bipolar?
Yes, he was to an extent. But you see, those illnesses are like vicious circles. You can get them on medication, and once you get them on medication, they take the medication, but after a while, they always change them on them. So it makes them feel groggy, makes them feel sick. They don't like the way they feel. Or they take it, and they feel so good, they go, I don't need this anymore. And especially if they're adults, they go, I don't need it, I'm not going to take it. So guess what? A week later, they're back to where they were. So now they're at a point where I don't want to take medication. I don't need it. Their mind tells them this, It's a vicious circle in that field of illness, because you can get them on medication, they're doing great, and they really do well, and they feel good. But then sometimes they get to the point where they feel so good, they go, I don't need it. And then they don't take it, and then a week later they're back to where they were. So that what happens? So they're back to the thing. And to get them to take it again, sometimes it takes forcing them to go to the hospital, calling an ambulance, calling the police. I mean, these are issues that are constantly a part of their lives, because sometimes it's single parent and they can't handle them. Or my brother was big, he was a big man, and my nephew was tall and lanky, and sometimes he couldn't handle him. He had to call the police. He had to, call to get assistance, because he didn't want him to hurt himself or go out and do something stupid. So it was a very hard life for them, for the siblings when they were growing up. And it's just, it's sad. It's sad, especially for the families that have to live in those circumstances.
Is there anything else?
Any more questions? That's it.
I think we're done with our questions. If there's anything else, you've said so many wonderful things for us.
I have plenty more, but if that'll help you, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Could have been me that was a schizophrenic. People that are mentally ill, like they don't choose to be. It happens for whatever reasons. Either they were abused when they were a child. If you investigate the percentage of mentally ill that are in there, sex offenders, any of those mental illnesses, there'll be some abuse in their childhood. There'll be something that happened to them when they were a child or in their life before they got there. Then that is why they are what they are today. And that doesn't excuse them, but it is what it is. And for myself, I take that all into account and pray that someday, as life goes on, I can make a difference before my time comes up. So
that's what we're hoping to help you do right now.
thank you. I do appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I pray. Yes. 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 So that's it.
Yes.
We're still taping it, huh? Could have been me that was a schizophrenic. People that are mentally ill, like they don't choose to be. It happens for whatever reasons. Either they were abused when they were a child. If you investigate the percentage of mentally ill that are in there, sex offenders, any of those mental illnesses, there'll be some abuse in their childhood. There'll be something that happened to them when they were a child or in their life before they got there. Then that is why they are what they are today. And that doesn't excuse them, but it is what it is. And for myself, I take that all into account and pray that someday, as life goes on, I can make a difference before my time comes up. So
that's what we're hoping to help you do right now.
thank you. I do appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I pray. Yes. 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 So that's it.
Yes.
We're still taping it, huh?